There's this drive we all feel, right? This kind of deep desire for personal growth, becoming a better version of ourselves, more effective, maybe more fulfilled. We're always looking for those key insights, the things that can really change our lives. And honestly, often wishing there was a shortcut through that huge mountain of information out there. Well, guess what? Today, we're kind of giving you exactly that. We're diving deep into a really carefully chosen list, the top 10 motivational books. And these aren't just any books. We're talking foundational texts, modern manifestos even, that promise to spark growth, unlock success, and maybe bring some renewed purpose into your world.
Right. And our mission here for this deep dive, it's super focused. We're basically going to pull out the most powerful nuggets of knowledge, the really actionable stuff from this incredible collection. The goal is to help you quickly get a handle on not just the main ideas, but the specific strategies, the different ways people approach personal development, without feeling totally swamped. We really want to spotlight what makes each book a true pillar of growth and, maybe more importantly, how together they build this amazing picture of what it actually means to live an empowered life, a meaningful one.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating range of sources we're looking at. I mean, everything from timeless classics that, shaped generations of thinkers and leaders to have really modern, sometimes unconventional takes on motivation. There's even a spiritual novel in there and a pretty raw memoir about extreme resilience. We're covering a lot of ground, philosophy-wise, too. The connections are quite compelling. Okay, so let's dig in. A lot of these journeys, these transformations, they often start not with doing stuff, but with how we see things, how we see the world ourselves. It really does all start in the mind. First up, the legend. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, a total classic on wealth, success, you name it. Its core teaching, fundamentally, is about the power of your thoughts, strong belief, and just sheer persistence to achieve, really big goals. What was it about Hill's approach that made it so foundational, so revolutionary back then?
That's a great question. It really was foundational. What's truly fascinating is how Hill, after interviewing like hundreds of massively successful people, Carnegie, Ford, people like that, he boiled down their common threads into a repeatable blueprint. He introduced these powerful, specific ideas like definiteness of purpose, the idea that having a crystal clear, unwavering goal is the absolute first step before you do anything. But maybe even more unique was his concept of the mastermind alliance, where two or more people work together in total harmony for a goal. It's not just teamwork. It's like this synergistic mental connection he thought amplified everyone's power. So yeah, it's not just wanting something. It's truly deeply believing you can get it and then going after it relentlessly, almost obsessively. That internal start, absolutely critical.
That mastermind idea, wow, that's specific. It goes way beyond just think positive, doesn't it? So building on that internal foundation, next we've got The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Like the title says, this one's laser focused on cultivating that positive mindset, building self-belief. It really demonstrates how optimism can genuinely help you tackle difficulties, maybe even find new opportunities. How does Peale actually, operationalize this? Does he make Hill's big vision more accessible for everyday life?
Exactly, yeah. Building on Hill's kind of grand blueprint, Peale offers a much more practical guide, almost therapeutic in a way. He gives you concrete techniques, things like picturization, where you vividly imagine what you want, or using affirmations, mental imagery, basically reprogramming your subconscious. He wasn't just saying be positive. He was teaching how to actively shape your thoughts, your internal chatter, to beat self-doubt and negativity. He shows optimism isn't passive, it's an active practice. Which, raises a question for you listening. How much do you think your daily mindset actively shapes what comes your way, both the good and the bad? Are you even aware of that internal dialogue? Are you directing it, or is it kind of directing you?
Those practical techniques sound really useful. Okay, so from shaping thoughts, the next logical step is shaping our actions, right? And this is where it gets really interesting for anyone looking for, concrete strategies, things you can actually do to make changes stick. The how-to, Stephen R. Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This one's huge, legendary for its practical principles for success, both at work and, just in life. It lays out these super clear, actionable habits, being proactive, figuring out what really matters, prioritizing and understanding synergy. Working together creates more than the sum of the parts. But beyond just listing habits, what's a specific idea or framework in Covey's work that really makes it more than just another self-help list?
That's a key point, because Covey is so much more than a list. What's really insightful is his focus on the underlying paradigms. First, how we see the world before he even gets to the habits. He argues our effectiveness comes from deep character traits, not just surface behaviors. He also brings in this idea of PPC balance, balancing production, getting results, with production capability, keeping the thing that produces the results healthy. So like being proactive isn't just taking initiative, it's understanding our responsibility, our power to choose our response, whatever happens, not just reacting or blaming things. That PPC balance concept really shows how vital it is to invest in yourself, your body, your mind, your relationships to stay effective long term. It's almost like building an operating system for your life. You can see how these habits naturally flow from that positive growth mindset we talked about. They're the actions that bring those internal beliefs to life over time.
That PPC balance. Yeah, that's profound. It really hits on the sustainability of success. Okay, and speaking of actions, James Clear's Atomic Habits. This book has just exploded recently. It builds on a lot of these older ideas, but with a very modern science-backed angle. It highlights the incredible power of tiny habits, things that seem almost insignificant, but they create huge changes over time. Clear meticulously explains how to build good habits effectively, and maybe just as importantly, how to systematically break bad ones. What's one specific, maybe counterintuitive insight from Clear that really shifted your thinking on habits?
Oh, that's a good one. Clear's book is packed with those aha moments. For me, I think one of the most powerful is his 4 laws of behavior change, especially making habits invisible to break bad ones and obvious to build good ones. He argues pretty convincingly that it's often not a lack of motivation holding us back, but just a poor environment. So instead of trying to muscle through with willpower, you actually design your environment to support your goals. For instance, want to eat healthier. Don't keep junk food around. Make it invisible. Want to play guitar more. Leave it out where you see it. Don't hide it in the closet. Make it obvious. It's all about friction. Making good habits easy, frictionless, and bad habits hard, high friction. This micro-level focus is such a perfect complement to Covey's broader principles. It gives you the tiny tools. Clear shows that huge transformation doesn't always need these massive, overwhelming changes. It often comes from consistent, tiny improvements, day after day. That could be really powerful for you if you've maybe struggled with big changes before and felt kind of discouraged. It offers a much less intimidating way forward.
That focus on environment design. Wow, yeah, that's a game changer. It shifts the focus from blaming your willpower to using smart strategy. Okay, now let's switch gears a bit. Let's inject some contemporary energy, some fresh, sometimes pretty provocative perspectives. These next books, they bring a different kind of vibe to personal growth, sometimes with a lot of humor, sometimes just radical honesty. Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. This is just a powerhouse of a book. It's like a direct call to action. It really encourages you to grab the reins, control your emotions, finances, relationships, your whole destiny, basically. It motivates you to make empowering choices every single day, not just, sometimes. How does Robbins manage to translate that famous high-energy seminar feeling into a book, into a blueprint for self-mastery?
Yeah, Robbins is definitely different from the more measured approaches. He's all about massive, immediate action and leveraging your emotional state. His book is this visceral call to take decisive action, often by deliberately changing your state, your body language, what you're focusing on, even the words you use. The idea is to break negative patterns and create empowering ones right now. He uses concepts like neuroassociative conditioning, basically linking pain to bad habits and pleasure to good ones, almost like reprogramming your nervous system. It's really about consciously directing your life force, like you said, getting your internal state aligned with the external results you want. He hammers home the idea that we are the masters of our emotions and decisions. And taking ownership there is the ultimate empowerment move, which connects back strongly to Covey's proactivity idea, actually.
That sounds intense. A real jolt to the system, as you say. Okay, then we shift gears again, maybe quite a bit, with Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass. This one's fun, it's modern, it's genuinely funny, which is refreshing in this space. The core message is pretty blunt. It pushes you, often with a laugh, to just break free from self-doubt and start living boldly, unapologetically, fully. What's the kind of secret ingredient in Sincero's humor and directness? What makes her message cut through all that self-doubt so effectively?
Her secret sauce. I like that. I think it's that combination of refreshing, no BS honesty mixed with this almost irreverent humor. She tackles these common mental blocks not with gentle suggestions, but with direct, sometimes sweary, real talk. Her genius is kind of demystifying these complex self-help ideas, making them feel really accessible, even fun. She really focuses on the idea that our biggest enemy is often just our own limiting beliefs, those negative stories we tell ourselves, what she calls our inner ding-dongs. She basically reminds you that the biggest thing stopping you from living boldly isn't usually some external barrier. It's just getting out of your own way, shedding those self-imposed limits and that fear of what other people think. It's about embracing your weirdness and owning your power.
She definitely doesn't hold back, which, yeah, is probably why it hits home for so many. Okay, and if Sincero felt a bit provocative, well, get ready for Mark Manson. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Feck. The title says a lot. Its core message is provocative, life short. Stop wasting precious time and energy on stuff that doesn't matter. It emphatically tells us to focus on what's truly important and, crucially, to accept that life involves struggle. That's part of the deal. How does Manson's kind of counterintuitive take on happiness actually work as a tool for growth?
It's a great paradox, isn't it? Manson's work is like this powerful antidote to what he calls the tyranny of positivity, this pressure we feel to always be happy, always perfect. He argues that real growth comes from embracing the uncomfortable stuff, pain, struggle, and most importantly, being incredibly selective about what we choose to give a feck about. Which raises a really important question for you listening. In this world of just constant noise, endless social media comparisons, nonstop demands, what truly deserves your attention? Your energy. Manson challenges us to be fiercely selective, to embrace uncomfortable truths, to define what genuinely holds value for us. And this act of consciously not caring about the trivial stuff, the things that don't align with our core values, ironically, that can be deeply freeing, empowering even. It lets us put our energy where it truly counts.
That's such a powerful reminder. Our emotional energy isn't infinite. Okay, finally, we're heading into some of the most profound, maybe challenging parts of personal growth, confronting really tough adversity, pushing our limits way beyond what we thought possible, finding meaning even when things are incredibly hard, these last few. They're really powerful. Deeply moving insights and stories. David Goggins Can't Hurt Me. Wow, this is just a raw, intense story. Extreme discipline, almost unbelievable mental toughness. It's this vivid, sometimes jarring account of pushing past pain, past self-imposed limits to achieve things most people would think are just impossible. Now, Goggins' approach is undeniably powerful, but some might find that intensity, well, maybe overwhelming for everyday life. How do you see that extreme discipline balancing with, say, sustainable growth for the average person? What's a key takeaway that works for everyone, even if we're not running ultra marathons?
That's a really fair point about the intensity. And yeah, Goggins' message isn't necessarily go live exactly like me. It's more about challenging that voice inside that says, I'm done, I can't, when often we've barely scratched the surface of what we're capable of. Connecting it back, Goggins talks about the 40% rule. This idea that when your mind is screaming that you're exhausted, totally spent, you're actually only at about 40% of your true capacity. He pushes us to explore that other 60%. His book is this raw look at the sheer unvarnished power of human will. It really challenges you to question your comfort zones, that limiting self-talk you might have. So for the average listener, the key isn't necessarily becoming an elite athlete. It's recognizing that most of our limits are self-imposed. They're more in our heads than in reality. It's about building what he calls a calloused mind, becoming mentally toughened to handle life's inevitable hits. And that's applicable to absolutely any challenge, personal or professional.
The 40% rule. Yeah, that really shifts perspective on what we think our limits are. Okay, then we have a really unique one, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This isn't your typical self-help book at all. It's a novel, a spiritual and motivational story. The main theme is all about following your deepest dreams, believing in your destiny, this idea of a personal legend. What is it about using a story, a narrative, that lets the alchemist teach these deep motivational lessons so effectively, maybe in a way nonfiction can't?
The power of the alchemist is absolutely in its allegorical story. Instead of just telling you principles, it lets you experience them through Santiago, the shepherd boy, on his journey. What's really profound is that concept of the personal legend. Coelho defines it not just as a goal, but as your unique spiritual calling. Your destiny that, he suggests, the universe actually conspires to help you achieve if you commit to it. It teaches us about listening to that inner voice, paying attention to signs or omens, and understanding the journey itself, the process, is often where the real reward lies. Full of lessons, full of growth. It suggests that this deep, unwavering commitment to your path, even with setbacks, can unlock this unexpected universal support. Synchronicities, like the world itself is guiding you. It's a beautiful, less direct way to absorb these big ideas about purpose and resilience.
It's a timeless story, isn't it? Shows how deeply connected meaning and action really are. Okay, and to wrap up our deep dive into these incredible books, we turn to Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, an unbelievable book written by a Holocaust survivor. Its core teaching is just, profound. Finding meaning in suffering gives us the strength not just to survive, but to truly live. What makes Frankl's insights, coming from such unimaginable horror, so universally relevant for anyone facing challenges, big or small?
Frankl's work. It's just this enduring, powerful testament to the human spirit's almost unbelievable ability to find meaning, even when facing the absolute worst adversity imaginable. What's crucial is his concept of logotherapy. He basically composed that our primary drive as humans isn't pleasure or power, but the search for meaning. He saw in the concentration camps that the people who survived were often those who had a why, a reason to live, a purpose that went beyond their immediate suffering. So it's not just about getting through it, it's about actively choosing to find purpose, even in the bleakest situations. This isn't about pretending the pain isn't there. It's about assigning a value to it somehow, transforming tragedy into a human triumph. And that gives us this unique, incredibly powerful lens to view all struggles through. It profoundly suggests that suffering, if we approach it with a deliberate search for meaning, maybe it's love for someone, for project of kind, it can become this crucible that forges immense, unshakable strength. That's the ultimate empowerment message, really, even when everything else is taken away. That freedom to choose your attitude, to find meaning, that always remains.
Wow, what an incredible journey that was. By these 10 pillars of personal growth. Just amazing. From changing our thoughts and designing our habits, all the way to embracing radical self-acceptance and that deep search for meaning, even in suffering. We've covered such a vast, inspiring landscape of ideas. If we had to boil it down, distill the absolute essence from all these sources.
Yeah.
It feels like there's some clear signposts, right? Themes that echo across all these powerful works, no matter where they came from.
Absolutely. Yeah, pulling from all these diverse perspectives, whether it's Covey's structured habits or Goelli's narrative wisdom or Frankl's profound experience, we can definitely see three big interconnected takeaways. First, and it seems foundational, is that success really does start with mindset and habits. It's about consciously guiding your thoughts, your beliefs, and your daily actions towards what you truly intend, not just reacting to things. Second, a clear message is that struggles are just part of life, unavoidable, but crucially, they're often what forge our strength. Adversity isn't something to just get around. It's often the very thing that sparks deep growth and self-discovery. And finally, maybe the most enduring insight, powerfully shown by Frankl, is that actively choosing meaning and purpose in your life is what ultimately leads to long-term happiness and resilience. These themes weave together so beautifully across all the books. It shows that whether you're reading a classic from decades ago or something really modern, these core truths about human potential, they just hold up. They guide us toward living a more empowered, more fulfilling life.
We really have covered a huge range of ideas quickly today, from the nitty-gritty of habit formation with Clear, that fierce call to action from Robbins, to Sincera's kind of kick-in-the-pants self-acceptance and that profound, almost spiritual search for meaning. You really do now have a powerful shortcut to grasping the core messages, the unique angles, and even some specific techniques from some of the most influential books out there on personal growth. This wasn't just a summary. Hopefully it was an exploration of how these ideas can genuinely change things for you.
Yeah, this whole deep dive really reminds us that our internal world, our beliefs, our habits, our search for a purpose, it's like this powerful forge, isn't it? It's the place where our whole experience of life gets shaped and refined. Which leaves a really important question for you to think about and maybe act on. Given everything we've touched on, how will you actively choose meaning and purpose in your own life to build that lasting happiness? And maybe more immediately, what's one small habit or one shift in mindset that you could start with today to begin that deeper journey?
Until next time, keep diving deep.